Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's fun.
Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh yeah.
The size of. I know it doesn't make any sense to transfer an equally sized computer into a different chassis, but I can't resist. So this board screwed, that's what, it goes in here and it runs the buttons. I tried to wire it into here and it just wasn't having it. And then it goes in here like this. I made this actually out of a vinyl record. I basically just replicated the size of this, and I needed something that was flat and wasn't conductive. Whoa! What's up? You can come on. Hi guys, my name's Timmy Joe. I make videos about computers on the internet. It's done! Oh, finally. It's done. That's right, my Xbox version 2, version 1.0 original is complete. And you might be like, hey, that's not an Xbox, that's a PC that you put in an Xbox case. Well, freak, we're playing Halo on it. And we're playing a Halo of the era, okay? And they even have online servers still. Maybe if I could pick one here. There we go. Jump right in here. We're going to play a little Halo. I'm not very good at Halo. It's probably be one of the, but we're playing it on the original Duke controller even. This is awesome. So, yeah, it works. And you can play a little bit of Halo. It's a PC game because, if you don't know, they don't make a very good Xbox emulator still to this day. But I can play Halo, I can shoot, they got the little logo on the freaking thing. It's awesome, and it runs very smooth at 30 frames a second. That's probably just the way it's set up. But so yeah, this works no problem, and we're playing online, which is pretty fun. Never been a Halo guy. Actually, when I used to play, Xbox, there was a reason I had an Xbox. It was to turn it into a media center, basically. But one of the games I got addicted to on it, which we can't play in emulation. I tried, but we can play it in emulation a different way. Ironically, we're going to play a PlayStation 2 game on my new Xbox here with the Duke controller, and that's going to be pretty fun. But yeah, Sony has an amazing emulator for this era of games, and it makes it so we can play my favorite game of the era right up on here on my Xbox TV with my Duke controller, Burnout Revenge, which is pretty awesome. So let's talk a bit while this loads up. It is a Core i7-3770 that was in a pre-built Alienware system, the Alienware Area 51 version 2, and it came in a little form factor that worked out perfectly to just transfer it into this case. But on an old Xbox, it was working and everything, but it's very dusty, very old, and nothing really matters there. But we can go ahead and we can play older games like this. We could go all the way back to whatever emulator you want because it's PC. And then I got this thing, which they just released. It's the Hyperkin Duke. It is a revamp of the original controller that came in the US Xboxes. It's huge, it's unwieldy, I love it. I remember playing this Burnout game with this very controller, and it just being a load of fun. And then we have a GTX 1050 Ti, the Asus Cerberus edition. I will be doing an entire video on this video card eventually. So I apologize for this being a little bit off the cuff and less like a benchmarking video, but I wanted to show my work. This is a thing of beauty that I've created, and I've done it before, I know, but this time it worked out so much better because the thermals on this thing are well taken care of because the hardware was already designed to be in a very small form factor case. So you can see this is running at 57, 60 frames a second. No problem, looks awesome. It probably is running about as good, if not better, than it did on the original Xbox. And this was my favorite game. We used to play this on a big projector when I lived with a couple of buddies in our basement. And we used to just like go crazy when it gets to like the Grand Prix cars and you can't make even one mistake. You just like get all Mountain Dewed up and play this. So there's this, works amazing. And then we can go all the way up to Far Cry 5, which is one of the most recent released titles, okay? And with a 3770 running with 8 gigs of DDR3 and a dedicated graphics card being the 1050 Ti, we are going to see 60 frames a second at medium settings, and have no slowdown issues, no lag issues. We're running an SSD that's got the OS on this thing, and then 1 terabyte games drive so I can load up all the games on it, which is pretty fun. And then it barely gets loud. It's about as loud as it's going to get. That's right up close to it. As soon as the game has any sort of music or volume going on, I'm not going to notice the Xbox. I used a little bit of liquid metal with a little cone surround of thermal paste to protect the aluminum heatsink. It's basically a stock Intel heatsink. And there's this little plate that the Area 51 had that allowed air to be pushed. I reversed the fan, and then now it's grabbing cold air from a vent on the side of the Xbox, blowing it down through the heatsink and allowing it to get to cool the VRMs and stuff like that. And then what's cool is the little riser that the GPU's on. It kind of acts as a barrier to separate the CPU from the GPU. So the GPU has its own air supply coming from a separate set of vents on the other side of the thing. It works out very well. So, of course, you plug in this thing to any of the 4 available 4 USB ports I installed on the front of the thing, and it automatically gets detected in like 99% of games these days because it's an Xbox 360 controller or a layout like that. And we're going to be playing Far Cry with some really decent frame rates. So, as I was saying, this took months to figure out, and it was a haphazard way of doing it because I built the PSU into it. This has a big power brick, and I basically stole Dell's or Alienware's design. But now, as you can see, I got 59 frames a second for 57. It hovers around there, with a little bit of slowdown here and there, because this is a AAA title. But we're going to blow up. We see here it goes down to 44 when we blow up some crazy. This is on medium, but it looks great. And if I have that frame counter off, I don't notice that there's any issues with this. So it's running Far Cry 5, one of the most modern titles. No problem. It's barely audible, and we're having a grand old time playing it on my Xbox. So I will sum this up by saying the CPU gets about 650 in Cinebench, and as it stands with the thermals on this thing, it actually runs well enough that it will go through the Firestrike stress test, which is a GPU stress test, and pass with 99.1%. So it'll run 20 times through Firestrike, and there's no thermal issues, and the GPU doesn't thermal throttle as long as it's on stock settings. You can get a little bit more out of these things if you overclock them, but this Cerberus edition I bought, I think, is kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum of the GPU, like the lottery you're gonna get with the 1050 Ti's GPU. So all in all, it's a great experience, and I'm just so happy that I built this thing and finally I get to show you guys. It works so well. I will be doing a follow-up video on the Xbox itself, maybe in a month or two once I've used it a little bit. I also might get rid of it. I might sell it to the right person. If you want to ask me about it, me@timmyjoe.com. For the right price, it's such a solid machine. I will let it go because I have too many computers as it is, but it's a Core i7 system. We'll have to talk about it. But as for you guys, I'm going to play Xbox with my Duke. I'm going to get a 1050 Ti review, the thing that's in here eventually. But this is my little puggins. And I gotta thank you guys for watching. I'm at Watch Timmy Joe on Instagram and Twitter. There is a Patreon, as well as I couldn't have done this without my buddy Andrew, who is a viewer of the channel and sent me the Area 51. I used most of the components from that, and I only bought the video card and the controller, which was way too expensive on eBay. And I made the front buttons work. All of the controller ports have USBs in them, and the back panel looks pretty good. I had to seal off like one compartment, but other than that, you have access to all the I/O that the PC would have originally had. It's just an amazing little process. So I'll see you guys in another video. If you have any questions, comments below. But if you like my Xbox, I know I'm a two-note pony now. It's like, are you going to do something different? Well, next time maybe I'll build a PC into a Commodore 64. That's what I'd like to do. If you have a Commodore 64, even one that doesn't work, I want to get a Commodore 64 where I make the keyboard on it actually work with Windows and shove a PC, a micro ATX system into it, and then see where that goes. I think that would be pretty cool, but I've been having a hard time tracking down a Commodore 64 shell to even try this with. So I will see you guys in another video. Thank you very much. Xbox, original Xbox PC build, complete success, and I thank you very much for watching this little wild ride that we've done.